Okay, so it's 2:15 in the afternoon. You ate lunch about 90 minutes ago. And right now, you're sitting somewhere doing that thing where you blink very slowly and you hope nobody notices that you have quietly left your body. You're not bored, you're not lazy, you are losing a fight to a chicken wrap. So today I want to try something different. I'm going to walk you through the hour after you eat, minute by minute, what's actually happening inside you between the moment you put your fork down and the moment you hit that wall. Because once you can see the timeline, you can see exactly where it goes wrong. And more importantly, you can see exactly where to interrupt it. So I'm Stephanie. I'm a nurse, a dietitian, a certified diabetes care and education specialist. This is what I do all day and currently living the life. And I'll tell you now, the part that surprised me the most doesn't happen until about 2 o'clock. So let's start the clock. 12:30, you eat. It's a good lunch. Let's say it's a sandwich or a salad with some chicken on it or last night's leftovers. Nothing unreasonable, nothing you need to feel bad about. You may have been a little proud of it. Your body starts breaking it down almost immediately. And some of what's on the plate becomes glucose or sugar in the bloodstream. Nothing's gone wrong yet. This is your body doing its job exactly the way it's supposed to. So 12:50, this is 20 minutes after the rise. Glucose is climbing in your blood. Your pancreas notices and starts sending out the insulin to meet that. Insulin is a delivery driver. It's a reliable guy. Shows up every time, moves the glucose out of your bloodstream and into your cells. Where it can be used or stored. If you'd been sitting here 20 years ago, this part would go smoothly. Insulin knocks, the door opens, the glucose goes where it needs to, and you feel absolutely fine. But it's not 20 years ago. Okay, 1 o'clock, where it changes. Here's where perimenopause enters the picture. Yay, perimenopause. Estrogen has a hand in how sensitive your cells are to the insulin. As estrogen shifts decline, that responsiveness can drop. So insulin knocks and the door sticks like a screen door in August. Your body's answer is to send more insulin because that's the only lever it has, more insulin, working harder over a longer stretch of time. And here's what that actually means for your afternoon: a higher rise and then a steeper fall on the other side. The fall is the part you feel. So let's say it's 120 now, the drop. Your glucose has peaked and now it's coming down, and it's coming down harder than it used to. This is the moment your brain notices. Your brain, it runs on glucose and it's extremely opinionated about the supply. When the level drops quickly, it doesn't send you a polite memo. It sends fog, heaviness, that sudden physical need to close your eyes. If the video ended here, the answer would be simple: fix the meal. And that's genuinely part of it. But this is where almost every explanation stops, and it's not the whole story. So 2 o'clock, the accomplice. Because at the same time all of this is happening, something completely separate is happening too. It has nothing to do with your lunch. Your body, it runs on a circadian rhythm, and built into that rhythm for everybody is a dip in alertness in the early afternoon. For most people, it lands somewhere between 1 and 4 o'clock. It happens whether you eat or not. It happens to people who skip lunch entirely. It happens to people who have never had a blood sugar issue in their lives. So at 2 o'clock, two completely different things are arriving at the exact same time. Your glucose is dropping, and your body's own clock is dimming the lights. You've been blaming the sandwich for years. The sandwich had an accomplice. And no, skipping lunch doesn't fix it. I know that some are thinking that because I thought it too. Fine, I'll just skip lunch. But that doesn't work. You still get the afternoon dip because the dip was never about food. You just get it hungry now. And then you arrive at 4 o'clock running on nothing and make decisions. We've all made those 4 o'clock decisions. There is no judgment in this house. Skipping the meal doesn't remove the crash. It just removes your one chance to soften it with food. So where do you interrupt the timeline? Here's why the timeline matters. You can't move your circadian rhythm. That part, it's not up for negotiation. but you have real control over the other line on the graph. And there are 3 places on that timeline where you can change what happens. Point 1, 12:30, the order you eat in, not what you eat. The order, if you start your meal with like the non-starchy vegetables with fiber and the protein and get to the carbs a few minutes later, the glucose rise is actually gentler. Same food, same plate, same calories, different curve. This is the single easiest thing on this list because it costs you nothing. You're not removing anything. You're not adding any time to it. You're just eating in a different order. So point 2, at 12:30, the size of the meal, a bigger glucose load makes a bigger rise, and a bigger rise makes a harder fall, which doesn't mean eat less. Please hear me on that, because under eating at lunch is how you end up in the 4 o'clock situation that we just talked about, and we have all been there. It means don't put your entire day's worth of carbohydrates into one meal. Lunch, it's not a competition. Spread it out. A moderate lunch and a real snack will treat you better than a huge lunch and nothing. Okay, so point 3, 1 o'clock, 10 minutes of walking. This is my favorite one because it actually gives you a little bit of energy. So this is the one I'd pick if you only did one thing. And it's the reason the timeline framing matters. Your muscles, they pull glucose out of your bloodstream when they're working directly. No insulin negotiation required. Your muscle, it just takes it. So a 10-minute walk in the window, while your glucose is still climbing, it blunts the peak before it ever gets high enough to crash from. You're stepping onto the timeline at the exact moment it counts. 10 minutes around the block, around the parking lot, up and down your own hallway. It doesn't have to be a production. You don't need special shoes with opinions. One more thing though worth knowing, if this pattern is your every single day, not just an occasional rough afternoon, it's worth mentioning that to your provider. There's a specific lab conversation that goes along with this. And I walked through that exactly in my last video on belly fat and perimenopause, and that's linked below. I'd rather send you there than rush it here. So, okay, so let's go back to 2:15. You're sitting there, foggy, wondering what's wrong with you. And now you know the answer is nothing. Your glucose, it came down fast because your insulin is working harder than it used to. Your body's clock dimmed the lights on schedule. Those 2 things met in the middle of your afternoon and you got caught between them. That's not a discipline problem, it's a timeline. And a timeline is something you can step into. So pick one point, just one, the order, the size, or the walk. Try it on Monday and see what your 2 o'clock looks like. I really think that you'll be pleasantly surprised how much of this was never about willpower at all, and how much this actually can help. There's a free guide that I linked below if you want to know what else your blood sugar might be doing. And subscribe, because this is what I like to talk about here every week. And I'll see you in the next one.